You know, when you ask for a cheap Chi-Fi IM under like 20 something bucks, it's just some cheap beater set. You tend to hear the name KZ being echoed a lot. KZ, KZ, KZ. And, it's for good reason. Whilst KZ is no longer the face of Chi-Fi anymore, they still release solid models, and they have become like well known enough to actually even be considered somewhat mainstream. At least, it's a safe-ish brand that your friends who aren't so versed in Chi-Fi can sort of want to buy it, and they won't shy away from buying KZ models compared to stuff from like Blonde or TRN. So if you're sick of hearing KZ IMs everywhere in budget Chi-Fi, I may have a nice alternative for you today. We will be reviewing the Auglamour F300 Light with a roughly 15 to 20 buck price tag, a metal build, and Auglamour's take on the typical V-shaped sound. Let's see what this little IM can do. Alright, so with the Auglamour F300 Light, we get this pretty standard black cardboard box. It's got a black background color and some picture renders of the F300 Light in the front. Some information over here, as you can see, and in the back it's marketing blurbs. You can also see that I got the black version. There's actually a black, grayish, like a pink and a red version for, I don't know. There's apparently two reds in here. There's a I'd say this is a cyan and a pink color. I got a black one. So that's the box. Pretty simple, pretty minimalistic. Nothing much for this price, but I can dig it. Okay, so you get this carrying case. It's got a black carbon fiber design, a red zipper. This design is pretty generic, to be honest, because I have another one right here which is basically the same thing. I guess Auglamour just paid for someone to print their logo on, but it's alright, I guess. Here's the insides of it. You get this little net bit so you can put your accessories in here, but I paid 20 bucks for the F300 Light. This thing is pretty nice for what it is, to be honest, so I'm not complaining. You of course also get some ear tips with the Auglamour F300 Light. Comes in this plastic bag. Let me dump it out. It's your box standard generic whiteboard silicone tips. I have a bunch of these in my collection. They're not that great for the F300 Light, I gotta be honest, because I wish they gave us something that went in a little deeper than this, but it's here, I guess. I gotta be honest, this is a bit of they just threw in whatever they had in the storage, I guess, and this is what they came up with. Wouldn't recommend it for your F300 Light. Get something else. You also get a shirt clip for your F300 Light if you are someone who uses this. I don't, so yeah, hey, it's a cool extra inclusion, but whatever. Of course, you also get your instruction manual. It's pretty long, actually. Printed in English and, of course, I think Chinese. The English part does come with some very interesting wording, though. Here. Do not put the headphone near your heart less than 10 centimeters. So it's threatening to give me cardiac arrest, I guess. And what else? Here it is. There is no reason to return the goods within 7 days after receipt of the good. No reason, man. If it's bad, it's just bad. No reason, alright? No need to apply for after-sale service. After the after-sale, only the refund of the refund? The refund of the refund? What? Yeah, very interesting. But yeah, it's your, it's just your usual instruction manual. Like, it's an earphone. You don't need this, but hey, some very interesting English in here. And here you have the F300 Light. It's the housing's got a pretty standard shape, I guess. It's sort of that semi-custom shape, though I guess it's Auglamour's own shape. You'll see this design on a lot of their other IM products as well, but I think it's made of metal. At least it looks like that. Feels decently metal-y too, so I think it's metal. Their logo is sort of a glossy golden thingy here, which, to be honest, I actually pretty like this. The aesthetics of this thing, to be honest, is pretty clean and nice. They actually carve in what seems to be like screws, but it's just a design that they carved into their housing, and it's not actually screws. I think that's for like the higher end products like the F300 Pro or the RT3, RT5, or whatever it is. But here it's just a design. The cable, it's basically your standard strand with a clear design. I don't hate it, and it feels alright to use, and you'll be happy to know that it's not that microphonic. These memory wires, they're a little bit too shaped, too curved, but it's alright for the most part. You've got, of course, your Y splitter here, and here's the bit to join it as well. It's pretty minimalistic looking. I like this design actually, and this one actually comes with a mic. I'll be testing that later, but hey, pretty cool inclusion. And again, luckily the mic does not affect the sound of this cable negatively, which is a good thing, because by this point you'll hopefully have noticed that these things do not have replaceable cables. You're pretty much left with what Auglamour includes, and fortunately what they include is pretty nice. If I could just direct your attention to this box render though, this seems to have removable connectors. This does not. Removable connectors? Non-removable connectors. I don't think they're purposefully trying to false advertise, but probably they reused the renders for some of their old products. But yeah, take note, you cannot remove the cables of the Auglamour F300 Light. One last thing is also the nozzle. This thing is big, a little stubby, and it's got a lip as well, so you may find it a little bit more difficult than usual to get your tips for it. It's also got like this golden metal grill thing, which actually also looks pretty nice, to be honest. I like it. I like the design in general. I just wish we got removable cables, but I guess that's why the high-end products exist, huh? Oh, and one last thing. This is just a standard jack and all, but you get this protector bit here, which I like to call, well, this word might get me demonetized, so I'm gonna put it on the screen right now. Yeah, one of these. So also pretty nice for what is essentially $20 worth of earphone.
So when I was 5, I was in a kindergarten, right? And I had this guy friend who he developed this habit of putting his hand over my shoulder. And, I grew increasingly annoyed at that until one day I just flipped. As he put his hand on my shoulder, I shoved him back. Where did I shove him back? I shoved him into a sharp corner of a concrete wall. Needless to say, he was bleeding from the head, needed medical attention, and was brought to an ambulance. Strangely, we became even better friends after that. So I guess the lesson of the day is give your friends head trauma so you can become better friends? I guess.
So the Auglamour F300 Light has a V-shaped soundsig, but it has quite a bit of bass preference, which is why I tend to lean towards using the LG V20 to pair with it. The brighter sound of the LG V20 sort of balances out the bass preference, and it gives the F300 Light some needed clarity. As for ear tips, I will be using my Acoustoon, I think these are AET07 ear tips. They seal my ears a little bit better than the stock wide bores, and yes, their bore is also still wide enough so as to not impede the sound of the F300 Light. And with that, I think we've covered most of the bases, and let's get into the review of the Auglamour F300 Light. So, like I said in the intro, the F300 Light has your typical V-shaped sound, but unlike KZ, who tends to use one dynamic, one balanced armature configurations, and they try to push the highs up, the Auglamour F300 Light, it has just a single dynamic, and it tends to produce a somewhat more coherent, but just as lively signature. Starting with the bass, well, despite the light in the name of the product, the bass of the F300 Light does have quite a big presentation. You're definitely getting a strong mid-bass hump that, while it lacks some impact, it has a soft texture that reverberates throughout songs. And there's also a very nice rumble in the mix. This bass performance, it will play well with most modern genres like EDM, bass house, rap, and all that. But I would shy away from anything that needs a bit more finesse, because this bass is definitely not the most refined thing ever. It's got a decay that's somewhat slower than usual, not enough to smear, just enough to sort of be satisfying, I guess. There's also a present amount of bass bleed, but I think it is about as comparable to similar KZs of the same price tag, so it's a weakness, but other players share it too, so I am inclined to not dwell on it too much. Yeah, the mids of the F300 Light are tuned for warmth, hence the presentation here is more relaxed than similar KZ stuff. The mids sit behind the bass for sure, and the dynamic driver setup gives it a slightly thickened but otherwise inoffensive timbre. There's not any particular preference in the mids for vocals or any instrument, and they play with each other on roughly similar footing, adding to the relaxed feeling. I guess save for the slight emphasis on some registers of the upper mid-range to keep it from just being muddy. Now, the highs of the F300 Light is probably where I wish Auglamour could have done better. It doesn't have any offensive peaks or sibilants per se, but rather the opposite problem. It's just kinda dull. Unlike drum and bass songs, the F300 Light's warm, thick tone and the rather pulled back treble, it makes for a less than satisfying experience. Cymbal hits are a little too thick and muted for my taste. Even on a lot of less challenging songs, I wish the F300 Light just had a bit more sparkle and some air to space out the various elements of music, whereas right now I would describe it as
sort of the different musical elements trying to reach a ceiling, but it's not tall enough to truly touch the ceiling, just almost reach it. Kind of like that. You know, the F300 Light soundstage is average. Meh. It's not that closed off, but not really that wide. Not much else to say about it, really. No real soundstage height to speak of, as expected of products of this price. And I guess the F300 Light swarm tuning, it doesn't win it any accolades in terms of technicalities either, as its separation, it's alright in most songs, but it can struggle in more complex pieces. Imaging is meh, and the texture of music is not really authentically portrayed, all of it being a little thickened up, but this can be nice for some songs where, you know, you want a more mellow tone, and, you know, they're aiming for a relaxed tuning anyway, so your mileage may vary on this one. Depends on the genre that you'll listen to with the F300 Light, I would say. So, comparing the Auglamour F300 Light with the KZ ZSN Pro, the KZ, it has an extra balanced armature on top of that dynamic driver, which KZ has used to sort of jack up the upper mids and highs. This gives the ZSN Pro more treble energy and hence perceived clarity. And to be fair, the ZSN Pro's technicalities are slightly better off than the F300 Light. But what the F300 Light has is coherency. The KZ suffers from what I can best describe as a distortion from their balanced armature, and it sounds like a bit crushing effect on the mids and highs, which it doesn't bug me too much, but I know that many people don't like KZs because of this. For those people, the F300 Light might just be what you are looking for. It's not as hot in the upper mids and high end of the frequency response, and you know, no cheap Belsing BA means less weird distortion as well. So you're looking at, you know, something with more technicalities but also more prone to distortion, or you want something that's a little more relaxed and you want something that, you know, is more coherent with its just single dynamic driver implementation. This is the KZ, this is the Auglamour. Pick your poison. Right, so for about $15 to $20, you are getting an IM with, to be honest, quite stellar looks, I'd say. With a metal build and that gold Auglamour logo accent, it looks quite premium. Well, as premium as $20 will get you. Without looking overly garish, although the F300 Light does have, you know, quite a few color choices if you really want to be garish. And it has a warm but energetic sound signature that caters to the mainstream, whilst avoiding some of the weaknesses of the KZs of the world in terms of coherency and distortion. So, if you have a friend that's just jumping into the world of audio, or you yourself are looking for an entry-level first-time purchase, and you know the KZ stuff looks a bit too cheap for you, and maybe you don't like the KZ sound, then yeah, the Auglamour F300 Light is indeed a wallet-friendly alternative that looks nice and does some things different, but delivering a similar flavor of sound. Alright, we have reached the end of another audio review with me, Lunar. Yes, I know, weird name, right? You know, as usual, I'll leave the links to the music that I used in the video in the description. Down there, you'll also see the links to my Patreon, where you can donate to me if you want the reviews to come out more, if you want me to just have the funds to buy more stuff in for review. You're welcome to donate to me there. I'll also put the links to my website down there, where you can see a few more written reviews. You can see some old art projects of mine, and in the about section of that website, also a few more ways to donate to me, of course. Otherwise, if you like the video, if you want to see more of this content, subscribe to my channel. I'll also be doing just sort of gotcha meme videos if you want one of those. If you have any suggestions or any questions, please put them in the comment. I'll try my best to answer your queries. And otherwise, thank you for watching. I hope to see you in the next video. Bye-bye.